Hello and welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Holly Wharton. I've been an entrepreneur since 1999, and I know firsthand how difficult it can be to build a business without the right mindset. This is a podcast for those of us who struggle with showing up in our business with confidence and authenticity, who resist taking big action because of fears and doubts, who know deep down that it's possible to create something bigger, and yet you're not. This podcast combines powerful strategies on how to upgrade your business mindset, along with practical business tips to grow your business more easily in a way that feels aligned. This podcast features solo shows with me and also interviews with inspiring women entrepreneurs from around the world, including my monthly co-hosted episodes with Joe Casey. My goal is to help you grow your business more quickly and easily by transforming your mindset. For me, mindset work is a lifelong practice, and I want to help you make a habit out of mindset work. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, let's get into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast, episode 240. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm back with another co-hosted episode with the fabulous Joanna Hennon. I'm really excited to share this episode with you because I think it's a good one. As you may remember, I'm trying out a new format for 2018 with quarterly co-hosts, and Joanna Hennon is my fabulous co-host for quarter one. And she's also previously been a guest on the show. You can find her on episodes 86, 158, and 178. And if you missed our first co-hosted episode together, you can find that on episode 235, where we talk about how to balance intuition and structure, which is such a fun topic. So today we are talking about how to have more fun and play in your business and life. This is something we've both struggled with in the past, in both extremes, both finding it difficult to add more fun and play to our lives, and also times when we've had so much fun and play that we're afraid we'll lose the serious stuff, like the business. So in today's episode, you're going to learn all about how to make business and life more enjoyable through fun and play. Here's what you're going to learn. We're going to talk about why it's important to have fun and play in our business and life, how to know that you need more fun and play in your business and life. We're going to discuss, if you're a playful and fun person, does that mean that you're also not a serious business owner? Like, can you be serious and have fun? What does fun even mean? How do you know if something is playful? How do you define what play means or what fun means for yourself? Because there's no one definition. We ask the question, does everything in business and life have to feel like fun, or can some things just be serious? Joanna shares the question that you need to ask yourself when business and life are feeling heavy and hard. We talk about what to do when fun is difficult, what to do if you're not actually enjoying the fun or play, what to do if you're feeling guilty about having fun or playing. We also talk about how to make space for fun and play in your business and life, and what to do if you're afraid that the fun is actually going to take over your life and you'll lose your business or quit your business because you just want to have fun. Because that's a valid concern as well. You don't want to necessarily have one extreme or the other. So we talk about how to find this happy medium in today's episode. And I think this is really, really important topic because a lot of people don't talk about it. You know, we hear so much about you've got to hustle, you've got to work hard, but we don't often talk about the other side of business, which is fun and play, which has a very valid place. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking now and we're going to get into the episode, which is a really nice and juicy one. So thank you very much and happy listening. Hey, Joanna.
Hey, Holly.
I'm so excited about our topic today.
Me too. I always love talking to you.
So today we're talking about how to have more fun and play in business and life. I'm really excited to talk about this because this is something that has been a challenge for me. And I think you're the perfect person to have this conversation with. So
because it's been a challenge for me as well, right?
Yes, exactly. But still, I think of you as being like a fun and playful person.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever been described as fun and playful in my life.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like totally, no, it's not true. My clients do tell me that I have a great sense of humor and that I add that's something that they really appreciate. It's true that I somehow add some fun into the spiritual work that we do, but I don't consider myself very fun. And my husband is very funny. My son is always like, oh yeah, you know, daddy is the fun one. And I'm like the strict one. So I have that in my head that I'm the
And how does that play over into your client relationships? Are you the strict one with your clients?
I think you have to be strict to a certain degree, right? Because you want them to get results. I mean, it should be fun, I suppose, in a way, but it should also get you the results. So I tend to be, I guess, a mix, I suppose. What about you? Are you fun in your work with your clients?
God, you'd have to ask my clients. But I laugh a lot in my sessions. Like, I think because we do a lot of really deep stuff and talk about like deep, dark, crappy crap, I tend to not make light of it, but like make jokes about it in a way that's not offensive, but like helps people to relax so that they can talk about this stuff. I remember one time I was working with a client, I was visiting my parents, and I'm locked away in their spare bedroom having a client call. And after I came out, my mother said, God, all you do is laugh with your clients.
Oh my God, people say that about me as well. Like if anybody's ever in the house, they're like, so you weren't working? And I'm like, yeah, I was. That was with a client. They were like, oh, but you're laughing all the time. So I guess that's true. And when I think about it, when I'm the client, like I don't want to work with people who make me feel, who are so strict with me. I actually worked with someone, is a bit of a tangent, but I did work with a coach, that I didn't like. And she was very, very strict and I didn't like it. And I kept it was on body image. And I swear to God, it was like a self-punishment thing. It was like, I've been really horrible with my body and I've gotten my weight to this horrible weight. And so now I have to like work with this horrible person who makes me feel horrible.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I only saw that obviously afterward. While I was in it, it just felt like this is something I needed to do, but I hated it. I did not enjoy it. Like it was really, really a terrible thing. And now I realize, of course, that if I don't feel good, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. And did you get results from working with that strict coach?
I don't think so. I don't think, I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't my style.
Yeah.
I remember once, like, so my life was really busy at the time. And I remember showing up to one of our calls and I was like, is it okay if I just finish my banana? And she's like, no. I'm like, but then I'm going to be really hungry and I won't be able to like fully be here. She's like, no.
Oh my God.
Like, okay. I just want to eat.
No banana for you, Joanna.
So yes, I suppose the fun aspect is important in a coaching relationship as well, because you want to have a good experience. You want it to be pleasant in some way, even if it's stuff and you're releasing stuff, like you need it to feel good. So you want to do more, right?
Yeah, I agree. Years and years ago when I was in grad school, I had this therapist and I showed up for a session one time and sat down and she said, how are you doing? And I said, fine, how are you? And she looked at me and she said, I ask the questions. And I was just like, shit, like I'm just being polite.
Oh my God.
And it like traumatized me. And then for years, every like kind of therapy session or whatever I had, like working with a professional after that, I created this huge distance. Like I would never ask them about themselves or anything because I was so worried that someone was going to say to me again, no, I ask the questions. You do not ask questions.
Oh my goodness. How do these people like become therapists and coaches? I'll never know, but okay.
I know. Oh, well, she was probably just doing her best.
This is not actually what we wanted to talk about. It's funny that we started off on...
But it's totally relevant because it's related to how we work with our clients. It's related to business. It's about being fun and playful. So getting back to the topic, why is it important to have fun and play in your business and life?
Well, I think, Holly, that in business, it's really important just because like when we go into business, we want to create something different for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And I always think like when I stop having fun in my business, I'm always like, why am I doing this? Like I could just go to my job and just have that. Like, why am I making things so difficult and unenjoyable? What's the point? Like if your business doesn't feel good and it's not fun for you, then what's the point of even doing it? Then get a job.
And that's how I've been feeling about my business lately. And I know poor podcast listeners, I've been like hinting at this for so long, but haven't really talked about it because I still don't know what to say. I love my client calls, but I hate every other part of my business. Like I hate the marketing. So I'm at that point too where my business is no longer feeling fun because the only fun part of my business is the time that I'm actually on the call with the client. All the other stuff is like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like if something doesn't feel fun at all, then you have two choices, right? Either you drop it.
Yeah.
So you drop the marketing and stuff completely, which might have an effect on how many client calls you get to do. We don't want to make assumptions, but it might have an effect. Or you ask, like, how can I make this more fun?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, that's a question that I give my clients all the time. how can I make this more fun? How can this be more fun? How can this feel better? Just being willing to ask that question about the bits of your business or life or whatever that just aren't working for you, that aren't feeling good. I think that's so important. And like what comes up, it can be just so simple. Like I remember I wanted to offer my Soul Space group something. I can't remember what it was like at the beginning of the year. So I wanted to have like some kind of New Year's bonus or New Year's present or something. And I was like, oh, I'll do a reading for everybody or something. And then that just felt horrible because I had no time. I had no time to do all these readings. I remember sitting there going, okay, I need to follow my own advice. Like, how can this be fun? Like, the Soul Space is supposed to be fun. It's my thing. And then I was just like, oh, I'll just pull a card for everybody. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. I love playing with cards. Like, that's not work at all.
Yeah.
And just being willing to ask the question, like the idea may have always been there, but being willing to see the idea and to follow that, like being willing to have it fun, right? Because we kind of have a tendency to want to make things hard on ourselves. And it's like we're wimpy or something if we not worthy of success or something, if we allow things to be fun, right?
Yeah, I totally get it. So how often do you find yourself asking that question? How can I make this more fun? How often does that come into your daily life?
At the moment, quite often. I think I'm in a similar space to you where I'm going through like this big transition and I'm really figuring out like what I want my business to look like and how I can best serve the people I want to serve and all that kind of thing. And so I'm asking it quite a lot because a lot of things are feeling heavy. So then I have to kind of keep making that decision of, am I going to let go of this or am I going to inject some fun, right? Find a different way of doing it. Some things are almost, I think, non-negotiable. Like you have to do, sorry, Holly, but you have to do some kind of marketing.
I know. And this is so confusing to me because marketing has been my thing for years, like decades. Like I used to love marketing. So that's why it's so confusing to me that I'm not. So maybe I need to just be asking, how can I make my marketing more fun?
Exactly, right? Since I like playing with oracle cards and channeling and all that stuff, like when I get really kind of bogged down in the marketing strategies and funnels and all the like the logical steps of how people find me and decide to work with me and all that, I just let it go. And I end up like pulling a card every day and then talking about that theme. And it doesn't matter then to me if it fits into a strategy or not, or like, I'll just like launch something fun.
Yeah.
Like now I decided yesterday that I'm going to do a whole series of masterclasses called the Soul Smart Guide to all sorts of stuff. And that just to writing blog posts or to launching or like even business related, like, and that just feels really fun to me. So I'm like, okay, I don't care that it has nothing to do with my like Q1 plan. Everything else is feeling heavy and this is feeling fun. So I'm going to go with it. Right.
Yep. So this is the perfect lead into my next question. How do you know when you need more fun and play? Because you've mentioned a couple times now things feeling heavy.
Yeah.
What are the other signs?
For me, well, is that heaviness around things that, I have to do this now and I don't want to, that's a sign, right? Because you want to be in a space where, I mean, we've all been in that space in our work. We can't wait till that next call or are super excited to put together the webinar. You remember that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So then you can see when it's not that. When it's that opposite of, if you've ever been in a job, then it probably feels a little bit like that Monday morning feeling like, I have to go into work again. If you're creating a business for yourself instead of working for somebody else, then that's not a feeling you want to create with it. Yeah. So when you have that feeling, I suggest that you explore, right? And see what's happening. And what's feeling off so that you can readjust.
And when you get those kind of creative nudges to do something different, like you had said, the Soul Smart Guide to whatever, like run with it. Allow yourself to run with it, even if it's not in your plan. Like just go with it and do it.
Yeah, I think that's the most important. And I know like all logic says that you should plan for things and whatever, but people work in different ways. And like, I'm not naturally a planner. I'm not very organized. So I have to follow these things. Otherwise, I end up really frustrated and that's not what I want. So yeah, things just start feeling heavy and like that responsibility of just weighs you down then. And that doesn't feel fun at all. Yeah. How about you? Do you feel that heaviness or do you feel something else when it's time to think about?
Just heaviness and just reluctance to do it, like putting it off, and I time block in my calendar. So if I see myself like dragging something, like today I don't feel like doing it, it didn't happen, so I drag it to tomorrow. If tomorrow I don't do it, I drag it to and then when I've dragged something like and rescheduled it so many times, I get to the point where I think, okay, do I absolutely need to do this or can I just delete it? Because clearly it's not a high priority.
Actually, that makes me think of another little way that might shift the heaviness to fun is making things more specific. Because as you were talking, I was imagining you kind of dragging the marketing block over from day to day. And I know that like when I have something like that in my calendar that I don't really know what to do with, like when it's just like too big a topic or too big a task that hasn't been broken down, then it feels really overwhelming. And then I'm really more reluctant to tackle it because I'm like, oh, marketing, like I don't even know, like what would I market? Is it the call? Is it so like I don't know what to do with that. And then I just let it go and I don't feel like doing it. Whereas if I have something specific, like it feels really exciting for me to like create a workshop on using Oracle cards for blogging. Like
exactly.
I do that myself. I think that's super fun. Yeah, but that's something very, very specific, right?
That's really helpful because one thing that I always do, and it's not negotiable, is every Monday morning I spend a half an hour promoting that week's podcast. And I have a recurring thing in Asana that comes up, and it's not like in my calendar, it just says promote podcast episode. But in Asana, it has like 10 different steps. So because I do this every week, and I've been doing it every week for 240 some episodes, I know what to do. But it really helps me to see it broken down into 10 steps. Check to make sure that the blog post posted. Check to make sure that it's do this, do this, do this, post here, post there, share it here, share it there. And I just tick those off, and then it just comes back into my calendar the following week in Asana. But I have it really broken down into steps, and that helps me to get stuff done. And that is non-negotiable because one thing that I do love about my business, in addition to the client calls, is the podcast. I love it. So I'm not going to do an episode and then just let it sit there.
So I wonder if you could like create that kind of Asana task for yourself for calls, right? For client calls as well. And just have a whole list. Because it's really funny that you mentioned this particular example with the podcast, because just recently I was thinking, how does Holly do that? Like I never get around to promoting anything to do with the podcast. Or anything like properly. And like from you, I see things very regularly and you're tagging the people who took part and you're doing all these things. And I'm just like, how does she do that so consistently?
It's a half an hour every Monday. That's all it takes.
You must see how cool is that?
But it's really focused time because I don't sit down and go, oh, okay, how am I going to promote the podcast? It's step by step. I look at the list, like I bring up the list and I say, okay, do that. I do it. Do that. I do it. And I just work through the list. And it's not necessarily fun, which is a good question. It's not necessarily fun, but it's like, it's something that I do because I love my podcast and I want people to see it.
I do think that some things just have to get done. Like it's not, I actually don't think it's realistic to say that everything in your business will feel fun. And yeah, I just don't think it's realistic to expect that because you're just setting yourself up for some disappointment. I mean, I do think you need to do some marketing around whatever it is that you're providing. And there are ways though to make it feel better. And I really think what I said before about just being open to having it feel better. If for you, the way it feels better is to have a list and like limit it to just that half hour on a Monday, then that's awesome, right? So maybe like it doesn't feel like maybe like super fun, but that allows you to have fun with your podcast and create content for people who are actually listening, right?
Exactly. And I love lists. So I know not everyone is list crazy, but like there have been times in my life where I've made lists of lists that I wanted to make. So this clearly
Oh my
works.
God, it's so funny because obviously we're friends for this reason because I love lists. And in fact, I just bought a book that's lists. It's right here. What is it called? It's listography. It's called. There's a series called listography.
Okay.
And this one is the future one. And it's all I hope to do in lists.
Oh my God, I love it.
And they have these for like all sorts of topics, you know, on travel and like all sorts of things. Like I want all of them, but I was just like, okay, I'm going to buy one and make those lists.
Okay, this is going in the show notes. I love it. And you know I'm hopping on Amazon right when we get off this call.
Yeah, totally. And I think I might make a list later today.
All right, so if lists help you, then make a list. All right, so
that's the thing. I mean, I think that point is actually worth repeating to like allow yourself to make it feel good, to make it fun. And if you know, even like I got this question from one of my clients a couple of years ago, like how do you make something that really isn't fun? Like, I don't know, like your accounting. For most people, that is not going to be a fun task. And yet you can't just say, okay, well, I'm just not going to do that because it's not fun. Like you have to do it, right? You have to do your admin, you have to do your accounting. So like, how do you make, well, to make it fun, maybe make space for it. So it's not like a rush job before the day for it's due, but take an afternoon, like play some nice music, light some candles, make it like a thing, and then maybe have a reward afterward. So maybe that's a way to make it feel better and to make it feel more fun, right?
Yeah, make it into like a ceremony. Like today I'm doing my bookkeeping and it's like a special occasion.
For me, like it always helps, like for something like that, it always helps if I can just say, that's all I need to do today. Because otherwise, like I'm distracted and I'm like, oh, I prefer to be doing that or I prefer to be doing that. But if you're just giving it the space, then like when you take your breaks, you can just hang out and like read a book or like whatever, watch an episode of something on Netflix rather than like going from task to task. And for me, that actually always makes it feel better.
Yeah, and I think it helps when I have something big is to just time block the entire day, like you said, to do that one thing. That way, I'm really good at focusing on just one thing and I can just get it all done and then know I have enough time to get it done rather than trying to fit an hour and a half in today, an hour in tomorrow, hour the following day. It's easier for me to do stuff in big chunks of time.
Me too. I'm the same. It just feels better. So one of the things that we touched on before we started recording was the issue of like, if you're playful in your business or if you show up as fun, then maybe you won't be taken seriously. Well, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I think that's a really good question. I think, yes, of course, there are going to be people that don't take you seriously, like your coach that was like super strict and was like, no bananas for you. But... But you don't want to work with those kinds of people. You want to attract clients that are like you and kind of vibrating at the same energy level and you have stuff in common. And so if you're fun in your business, you're going to attract fun clients. Whereas if you're the no banana kind of coach, then you're going to attract super like serious clients.
Yeah, or people who don't really want to be there, right?
Yeah,
who think like me, who was like doing it as some sort of like self-flagellation, for past cakes eaten. So I think it's part of this authenticity conversation, right? To have the courage to show up like you are with all your quirks and to let people know like the things that you find funny.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think especially now, like in this crowded marketplace, you have to stand out. Like how else are people going to know, oh, I like her. I think it's difficult to sometimes because you want to talk about things that are relevant to your audience. So you want to be talking about your work stuff. And I think sometimes it's difficult to kind of weave the other things in. But you can get really creative. Like I've seen lots of, like, I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan.
Yay!
Like huge. And I've seen some really fantastic posts, like what Buffy could teach you about business or like what Buffy can teach you about life or whatever. I always thought, God, that would be so much fun to write. But of course, like I'll always read anything like that references this show that I really, really am a big fan of. And so it is a way to kind of bring in the people who you'll have fun with in your business, who'll get you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I resonate with that. I remember, like, I'm a Buffy fan, but I'm also a big Star Trek fan. And so whenever I see people referencing Star Trek, like on their website or on their blog posts, I just... Ooh, I get excited. I remember this one time coming across this website for like a graphic designer and she'd put this quote from Sarek, the old Vulcan philosopher. And I was like, oh my God, I know who that is. I'm so excited. And like, I didn't even need this graphic designer and I never worked with her, but like, I just felt that connection. Like, oh, that's such a random.
Oh my God, I think you've really touched on something here. It's the connection, right? Because
Yeah.
how do we connect with other people? It's through these things that we really, really care about. And yeah, sometimes they're kind of big ideals of changing the world. But like, if you're talking about business or if you're talking even spiritualities, it's difficult to connect at that human level.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's over something like that, something that's important to you in your daily life, book, a movie, a show, anything that kind of produces that, oh my God, I love this.
Exactly.
feeling,
And that's
right?
an element of fun and play because when you get that kind of like, oh, it's my favorite show and you like it too, that's fun. It's that connection through fun.
Okay, so I have to bring this up now because this is something that comes up for me all the time.
Okay.
Like, so maybe it's fun, but like, does it have a point? Like, I don't know. I have this thing about the importance of everything kind of that you put out there having a point and some kind of value.
Yeah.
And I get really stuck in that. And I know like a lot of people teach to just like tell stories about your life and all this stuff. And I don't particularly like listening to that.
Yeah.
If somebody's just like rambling on about the last 20 years of their life or about how much they like Buffy even. I mean, even that, okay, I'm probably more likely to listen to that. But I like it to have a point. So, like, what's that balance, Holly? Like, was between adding the fun and like showing up with that fun side of you, and then still, I don't know, still providing value.
I think it depends on how you're showing that side. So if you like do an Instagram post of like the photograph of the TV screen as you're watching Buffy and you say, I love this show, I've loved it for ever since it first came out, do you guys like it too? That's one thing. But writing like 1,000-word blog post on how much you love Buffy, maybe that's not relevant.
But a blog post about what Buffy teaches you about business, I think would be cool.
Yes, exactly. And I remember one time watching Star Trek, the original series, and Uhura said something, and I stopped the TV, went back, listened to it again, and then I wrote it down and wrote a blog post about it because it was related to my social media business at that time. And yeah, that's totally relevant. So if you're inspired by a quote that someone says on your favorite TV show and it relates back to your business, then yeah, by all means, write a blog post about it. But if you're just going to write, I love Buffy because it's so much fun and I hate vampires, like that's who wants to read that?
Yeah, I just really, it's something that I really struggle with. You know, anybody who teaches, oh, you need to share your story and share your personal stuff and whatever. And I'm just like, oh, but like, what's the point? Like, I want to add value and everything. I don't want to just take up space. We've had this conversation before. Like, I don't want to just add to noise.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
That's why I use Instagram mostly for personal stuff. So my Instagram feed is pretty much 90% cats and my nature walks. And then 10% every week when a podcast episode comes out, I put the graphic up. But that's the only business stuff that I put in my Instagram feed. The rest of it is my life. So if you want to see what I'm doing outside of the office, that's Instagram.
That's cool. That's a cool way of separating it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we've touched on like fun in business and kind of the difficulties of fun in life as well. I have really struggled with adding more fun to my life, I have to say, because I don't find the usual things much fun. Like people are like, if you ask anywhere, like, what do you do for fun? You're going to get like a whole list of stuff that I personally don't find fun. And then so I really struggle with that, kind of making sure that I have a balance in my life, because I find things like intellectual stimulation fun and like taking a business course, things that most people would consider work, not fun.
But the thing is, that stuff doesn't necessarily rest your brain. It's still kind of doing more of the business stuff.
Right. What do you do for fun, Holly?
Well, I spend long hours in nature walking through the woods. So that is my number one.
But that's kind of becoming your work too. So
well, not yet. But eventually. But it feeds my soul. Like, it's not necessarily fun. It's not like I'm skipping through the woods like singing la la la. But it just deeply relaxes me and nourishes me and feeds my soul. So it's not like a party fun, but it's like I love it. Like, it's really important to me. So I would say the top two fun things are walking and reading.
Maybe we need to redefine fun then, right?
So what does fun mean?
What does fun mean? And I like what you said about that it nourishes you, it feeds your soul, right? It's definitely reading for me as well, both fiction and nonfiction. I always have like several books on the go. And if I don't make time for them, then it really takes away from my energy levels for sure. So definitely reading. But I wouldn't say that was fun. I think maybe this is it. You have to just redefine.
Exactly. What does fun mean to you?
Yeah.
So what does fun mean? We think about reading. If you were to redefine reading as fun, and again, it's not like you're dancing around your house with a book in your hand. It's something that's deeply nourishing for me. It's something that's relaxing. It's something that gets my mind off the business stuff. It's something that helps me, gives me space to let business inspiration come through because I'm thinking about something else. It's playful in the sense that if you're reading fiction, you're going off into another world and kind of experiencing someone else's life. It's almost like kind of mind travel. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. It takes you away from the responsibilities of the day and all that stuff and any worries and any stuff like that. Whereas I don't get usually that excited when I read. I do get that kind of fun vibe when I watch certain shows.
Yeah.
Especially shows like ridiculous storylines. Like we're really kind of like convoluted or really like soap opera-ish, you know? Like there's times where like we finish episodes like that and I'm like, oh, that is good TV. You know? It's like somebody's twin sister showed up and I'm like, oh, that is good TV. So that is fun to me. To watch stuff like that. That's certainly not intellectual. But it's fun.
Yeah, you're right. My husband and I do watch TV together every night. And yeah, I guess that is fun too. Again, not in the sense of like we're like laughing and joyous. But yeah, and we're very selective about what we watch. So we do watch stuff that we really, really enjoy. Like we just finished rewatching all the old Twin Peaks stuff, and we watched the new one, and then he just went away. And before he went away to Argentina, because he's visiting his family, he said, when I come back, can we watch it all again? And I was like, yeah, we can do it again. He was like, oh, good. Like he was so excited.
Oh my God, I was so jealous when my husband watched Buffy for the first time. So I watched it like twice before I met him, and then we watched it together. And I was just like, I was so jealous that it was his first time to watch it. And now we're waiting until our son is old enough to watch it so we get to watch it again.
And you get to see him experience it for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fun.
That's fun.
That's fun. Even if it's not like a party in the house, it's fun. It's enjoyable.
It's really that redefining without judgment. I think it's that's a huge thing because lots of people judge TV watching, for example, right? So like as a waste of time and all this sort of thing, whereas I love TV. Like my husband and I we watch TV every night together and we love it. That's like one of our favorite parts of the day is to sit down and watch our couple episodes of whatever it is we're watching. You can allow it to be fun if you release that judgment, right? And you're not like, oh, it's, I should be doing something more productive with my time. I think that's a big part of it though, right? Because fun, like, is it a waste of time? For those of us who are ambitious and driven and doers, action takers, I think it's really difficult to do something that doesn't have a point, that is just for fun.
I know, but I think it does have a point, even though it's kind of an indirect point in that it rests your brain, it detaches you from the business stuff, and it allows space for you to see stuff come in from a different perspective. So like the TV, it helps you disconnect. It puts you in another world in the same way that books do. So it really is, it's kind of resting your brain and tuning it into another channel so that when you come back to your work, you can see it with a different perspective and you're rested and everything's a bit easier, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And maybe I'm just thinking that maybe the reason it's not always that restful for me is that I continue to check stuff on my phone as I watch TV.
Oh,
I need to stop that.
Yeah, when I'm done at the workday, my phone, I plug it in, it's charging in my office and it does it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that needs to happen in my world, I think. So redefining fun, I think that's really, really important.
So what do you do? Because you had said earlier that it's hard for you to have fun sometimes in life. So what can people do if fun is difficult, if they're having problems making space for it?
Commit to something small, maybe maybe I think it's kind of like those big questions, like what is my purpose in life or whatever, like those things are really overwhelming. So maybe like instead of adding fun, which might sound like way too much than what is currently possible, maybe like devote or commit to doing something that you enjoy every day. Yeah. Something that's not work related.
Yeah.
But something that you enjoy and do that. And it can be different every day, obviously. You could even like check in every day and see what would I enjoy right now.
Yeah.
And then in your work, like commit to, if something feels, then commit to asking like, how could this be fun?
Yeah.
And it's the permission piece.
Yeah. And maybe make a list of all the things that you think are fun. So watching TV, reading a book, going for a walk, whatever. And then pick from that list if you're having trouble.
I've tried that.
Oh, really?
That list. Because I love lists, like we said, right? But like that just isn't, I don't know. It makes everything, I think because I want fun to be something like big and amazing. Yeah. And when I put it on a list, it just looks like, meh. Take a walk. Meh. And it always like feels more boring on my list. I don't know why. So the list didn't actually work for me. But giving myself permission to to read every day. I think that's been a key kind of thing. I used to be a big reader. I used to be a book blogger. Like it used to be a really big part of my life. In the past years, I stopped reading basically, or at least certainly fiction. And now I give myself that space every day to read. And it's not like it's a priority, but it's permission to read without any point. So what do you think people should do if they're having trouble?
So if the list doesn't work for you, another thing that I've done, so for example, when I used to go out for walks every day, now I do longer walks less often, whereas before I used to do like a short little walk every day. I used to really struggle sometimes to know where to go because I live in an area where there's so many different places I could walk. It depends on which direction I leave when I walk out my front door. And so what I did was I got these index cards and I wrote down all the different places that I like to go walking. And I used them like as oracle cards and I would put them face down And I would just pick one, and then I would see, how do I feel about that one? Okay, does that sound fun? Great, I'll go. If not, do something else.
I love that. Oh, that is
So
so
make your own oracle
cool.
cards.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be walking trails. Like you could make index cards with like a different kind of physical activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then pick. Oh, I love that. That is so cool.
So you could do like reading, TV, walking, like bath, whatever. Because a
Yeah,
bath, you're not like dancing in the bath, but it's relaxing and
hopefully.
it's fun. Kind of
Yes.
fun. It's restful. It's recharging.
I love the oracle card
Yeah.
idea. Oh, maybe we should create a deck, Holly, of self-care.
Self-care oracle cards.
Yeah. Okay, we're doing it.
All right. So what if you're not enjoying this fun and play? What if you're just doing it because you said you were going to do it and it's become a chore and you're not having fun because you're feeling guilty? What do you do?
Well, there's two things there, actually. Holly, if you didn't add the guilty thing at the end, it would have been one thing. If you're feeling guilty, then that's something to work on, right? That's an energy, that's a set of beliefs, that's something that needs to shift so that you allow yourself that time for yourself. But on the other hand, like if you're okay with that, if you're okay spending time on yourself, but whatever it is that you're choosing to do isn't feeling fun, then you need to find something else, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't become a chore. It's just like with the mindset work or anything. Like if it doesn't feel good, not in alignment, then it's just not in alignment. That's your soul sending you a message that that's not what you need to be doing right now.
Get out your oracle cards and do something different.
And that can be fun too, right?
Yeah.
Just giving yourself kind of permission to experiment and play. Like
Yeah.
I did that a few months ago. Like I'm just like, okay, I need to kind of get to know myself again.
Yeah.
What do I find fun?
Exactly.
Right? So then that's just a matter of like trying stuff out and be like, no, that was boring. No, that wasn't fun, And letting yourself just get to know yourself like you would a partner, a new partner.
Exactly. Okay, final question. I think this is a really important one is what if you allow so much fun into your life and your business is feeling so heavy and you're just not enjoying it and you're having so much fun with this other stuff and you start to become afraid that the fun is just going to take over your life and business and you're just going to let your business go? What do you do with that?
This is a totally hypothetical question, right?
Totally hypothetical, yes. Neither of us have ever experienced anything like this, ever.
My goodness, I don't really know what to do with that because it's not a hypothetical question and we were just talking about this. I sometimes worry that like if I give in and just keep looking for the fun, like I'm never going to do the business stuff again. But then I do actually enjoy the business stuff as well. Gosh, I don't know. I think sometimes you get yourself into a state probably where you haven't taken enough time for yourself, enough space for yourself, where maybe you just need a lot more space than you expected.
Yeah.
And so if I practice what I preach, then I'd have to say like, you have to follow what feels good.
Yeah.
And if the business isn't feeling good, then you need to, maybe if you choose not to drop it altogether, then you need to be open to other ways or just let it all go and start from scratch or like really go back to why you started in the first place and what you would do if you weren't getting paid for it, right? What would you do anyway with your time? Because this is your life. At the end of the day, like, it's your life. Every day, it's your life. Like, you don't want to be spending that in misery.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a sign oftentimes that you need to rest, do something else, distract your mind, and then maybe come back to your business with a new perspective and pivot into something new or change something. But sometimes we need that extended playtime or fun time away from the business to give us that perspective. And we can't see when we're like caught up in the hamster wheel every day.
I think you're right. And it's true that when you kind of step away and do other things, ideas come, right?
Yeah.
I love learning. Like I'm addicted to courses and to learning and stuff. A lot of the time it's just procrastination, right? So I'd rather be learning than actually getting out there and doing my own work. But now I was just like, no, this is really what I want to be doing. I want to be watching these classes. And those classes gave me my next idea. So it's like that pull was actually leading me to where I needed to be. So I could see how somebody else did something that I'm like, oh, I could do something similar. This is a really, really cool idea. So that was good.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But it wasn't work, really.
But it was giving yourself that time and space.
Yeah, indeed. Now all these examples are coming into my mind that when I did just let go and allowed myself to spend time on what I really wanted to spend time on, something came out of that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that would be at the time, but something came out of that. So it's really allowing yourself to follow those nudges as well, right?
Yeah, I agree.
That's deep. I'm going to have to do something with that.
A blog post, a video, or something.
Oh, no, I meant for myself.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I need to give myself space to do these things now and stop judging myself for not wanting to go back to work.
Exactly. Give yourself permission to do what feels fun and playful and right. And eventually you're going to understand why you needed that time.
That's really good advice. Are you going to take it, Holly?
I've been taking it for a while. All right. So I think we can wrap it up. I think that's very complete. If anyone has any questions about how to add more fun and play into your business and life, let us know. You can email me at holly@hollywharton.com or
Joanna@joannahennon.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that you are inspired to have more fun and play in your business and life. I would like to encourage you to spend a few minutes now to think about one fun or playful thing that you could do in your business or life. Add that to your calendar, make some time and do it, and see how things change. See if you come back to your business with kind of a fresh mind and new inspiration, or see what it does for you. And as we said before, drop us a line. Let us know what you thought about this week's episode. You can email me at holly@hollywharton.com or find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram and get in touch. I would love to give you a shout out on the show and share your comments. I would also love for you to join me in my private Facebook group, Business Mindset Alchemists, so we can continue the conversation there. Podcasting is such a one-way conversation, so I would love to get some feedback from you in the group. Business Mindset Alchemists is a group dedicated to exploring business mindset and how you can get the mindset you need to achieve your business and life dreams. I would love to see you in there. Just go to hollywharton.com/group and you'll be redirected to the Facebook group. And thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a quick review on iTunes. It would mean the world to me. And remember to visit hollywharton.com/240 for the show notes on this episode. Next week, I will be back with another solo episode talking about what to do when you're sick of social media. And this also applies to if you're sick of networking, if you're sick of public speaking, whatever that one thing is in your business that you're sick of doing in terms of like marketing or getting clients. And I think that's a really relevant complement to this week's episode. So please remember to tune in next week. I look forward to sharing that story with you. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to the Business Mindset Podcast. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for the topics that were discussed, at hollywharton.com. If you'd like to connect with other listeners and learn more about business mindset, join my private community for entrepreneurs at hollywharton.com/group. That will redirect you to the Facebook group. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to head over to iTunes and leave a quick review of this podcast. It just takes a minute. Thank you so much.